You know that feeling when you write down a goal? You're pumped for like 5 minutes, and then nothing happens? Yeah, me too. For years, I thought I was just lazy. Everyone says, set goals, like it's this magic solution, right? Write it down. Make it specific. Track your progress. But here's what nobody tells you. Most goals are actually designed to make you fail. I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me for a second. Because once I figured out what I was doing wrong, everything changed. I went from someone who couldn't finish a single weekend project to actually getting things done without that constant guilt hanging over me. And the weirdest part? The fix wasn't about working harder or being more disciplined. It was about stopping one specific mistake that almost everyone makes when they set goals. Let me paint you a picture. It's Sunday evening. You're lying in your couch, scrolling through your phone, and you start thinking about everything you need to do this new week. So you grab your journal or open your notes app and you write something like, "This week, I'm going to study for 1 hour every day." Or maybe it's, "I'm going to finish my essay by Wednesday." Feels good, right? Like you're finally getting your life together. Monday morning comes. You're motivated. You sit down, open your laptop, and you check Instagram for just a second. Then you remember you need to text someone back. Oh, and you should probably organize your desk first because you can't focus in a messy space. 2 hours later, you've done everything except the thing you said you'd do. And now you feel worse than before you set the goal. Here's the thing though. This isn't happening because you lack willpower. It's happening because of how you set that goal in the first place. Most people set what I call outcome goals. These are goals focused entirely on the end result. Finish the essay, get an A, study for 1 hour. And outcome goals have a fatal flaw. They're usually too far away from the present moment to actually motivate you to start. Think about it this way. When you say, "I'm going to study for hours," your brain doesn't see a task, it sees a commitment, a sacrifice. Hours of your life where you can't do anything fun. That's exhausting before you even begin, fam. Your brain is incredibly smart, but it's also kind of selfish. It wants to avoid pain and seek pleasure right now, not later, now. So when you present it with this massive, vague thing called studying for hours, it starts looking for escape routes. Suddenly, cleaning your room seems urgent. That text message can't wait. You definitely need a snack first. This is called present bias, and it's the reason why future rewards feel meaningless compared to immediate comfort. But here's where it gets interesting. The solution isn't to force yourself to care about the future more. That's like trying to convince yourself to enjoy vegetables when you're craving pizza. It doesn't work. The solution is to make the present moment feel better. And that starts with changing how you think about goals entirely. Instead of setting outcome goals, you need to set what I call starting goals. This is the difference. Outcome goal. I'm going to write my entire essay tonight. Starting goal. I'm going to open my laptop and write 1 sentence. See what happened there? The outcome goal focuses on the finish line, which feels overwhelming and distant. The starting goal focuses on the first tiny step, which feels doable right now. And this is crucial. When the barrier to entry is low, your brain stops resisting. Think about Netflix. They don't say, "Commit to watching 8 episodes tonight." They say, "Watch 1 episode." But then the next episode starts automatically, and suddenly you've been on the couch for 3 hours. That's not an accident. They understand how human motivation actually works. We need to use that same psychology on ourselves, but for productive things. When you tell yourself, "Just open the laptop and write 1 sentence," you're not lying. You genuinely only have to do that one thing. But here's the magic. Once you start, continuing feels easier than stopping. Let me show you exactly how this works in real life. Last semester, I had this research paper hanging over me for weeks. Every time I thought about it, I felt this heavy dread in my stomach. The topic was boring, the requirements were confusing, and I just kept putting it off. My original goal was, finish the research paper by Friday. Guess what happened? I didn't even open the document until Thursday night. Then I panicked, pulled an all-nighter, and turned in something I was embarrassed by. So for my next paper, I tried something different. Instead of finish the paper, My goal became, open the document and write down 3 questions I have about the topic. That's it. I set a timer for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes to write down 3 questions. I told myself I could stop after that if I wanted to. But something weird happened. After I wrote the questions, I got curious. I opened Google Scholar to find one answer, then another. Before I knew it, 30 minutes had passed and I had half a page of notes. I didn't force myself to keep going. The momentum just carried me. The next day, my starting goal was, turn one of those notes into a full paragraph. Then, add 2 quotes to that paragraph. Each goal was so small that it felt stupid to avoid it. And each small win made the next step feel less intimidating. By the end of the week, the paper was done, and I didn't hate the process. So why does this work when traditional goal setting doesn't? 3 reasons. First, starting goals eliminate decision fatigue. When your goal is huge and vague, you have to make a million tiny decisions just to begin. Where do I start? What do I do first? How long will this take? Each decision drains your mental energy. By the time you've figured out where to start, you're already tired. Starting goals remove all that. There's only one decision. Do the tiny thing or don't. Second, they trigger what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect. This is the brain's tendency to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. Once you start something, even just a little bit, your brain wants to finish it. It creates this low-level tension that actually pulls you back to the task. But you can't trigger that effect if you never start. Third, and this is the big one, starting goals build identity instead of just checking boxes. Every time you follow through on a starting goal, you're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who does what they say. That's way more powerful than any external reward. You stop seeing yourself as someone who procrastinates and start seeing yourself as someone who takes action, even when it's hard. And that shift in identity is what creates lasting change. Now, before you run off and try this, let me warn you about the mistakes people make. Mistake number 1, making your starting goal too big. I see this all the time. Someone learns about starting goals and they're like, okay, my starting goal is to study for 30 minutes. No, that's still too much. Your starting goal should be so small that it feels almost embarrassing. We're talking, open the textbook to page 1, small. Write the date at the top of the page, small. If there's any part of you that thinks, I don't want to do this, make it smaller. Mistake number 2, still focusing on the outcome. Some people set a tiny starting goal, but they're still thinking about the big scary end result the whole time. That defeats the purpose. When you sit down to just write 1 sentence, you can't be thinking, but I need to write 5 pages eventually. Focus only on the immediate next step. That's it. The rest will come. Mistake number 3, quitting after you start. Okay, this one's tricky. I said you can stop after your starting goal, and that's true. You genuinely can. But a lot of people use that as an excuse to always stop. They write 1 sentence and immediately close their laptop just to prove they did the goal. That's not the point. The point is to lower the barrier so you actually start. Once you're in motion, let yourself keep going if it feels natural. Don't force it, but don't artificially cut yourself off either. Here's where this gets really powerful. Once you understand starting goals, you can apply them to literally anything you're avoiding. Avoiding the gym? Your starting goal isn't work out for an hour. It's put on your gym shoes. Avoiding that difficult conversation? Your starting goal isn't have the full talk. It's send a text saying, hey, can we talk later? Avoiding cleaning your room? Your starting goal isn't clean everything. It's put 3 things back where they belong. I started doing this with my morning routine last month, and it's been kind of life-changing. I used to have this whole elaborate morning routine written down. Meditation, journaling, exercise, healthy breakfast, the works. And I'd do it for maybe 2 days before I'd sleep through my alarm and the whole thing would fall apart. Now, my only morning goal is sit up in bed. That's it. Some mornings, I sit up and then immediately go back to sleep. That's fine. But most mornings, Once I'm sitting up, I figure I might as well stand up. And once I'm standing, I might as well go to the bathroom. And once I'm in the bathroom, I might as well splash water on my face. The momentum builds naturally. I'm not white-knuckling my way through some perfect routine anymore. I'm just taking the first step and seeing where it goes. But here's the part that really matters. This isn't just about productivity hacks or getting more done. It's about changing how you see yourself. Every time you procrastinate, every time you set a goal and don't follow through, you're reinforcing this story that you're lazy or undisciplined or just not the kind of person who gets things done. That story becomes your identity. And once it's your identity, it's almost impossible to change because you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself to stay consistent with who you think you are. Starting goals break that cycle. Because even on your worst day, even when you're exhausted and unmotivated and just want to lie in bed, you can do one tiny thing. And when you do that one tiny thing, you're proving the old story wrong. You're showing yourself that you are the kind of person who follows through. Not perfectly, not with some huge dramatic effort, just consistently, in small ways, one step at a time. That's how you actually change. Not through motivation, not through discipline, through tiny proof, over and over again, until the new story becomes more believable than the old one. So let's make this concrete. Here's what you're going to do tonight. Think about one thing you've been putting off, just one. It could be homework, a project, cleaning, that thing you said you'd do 3 weeks ago. Now, write down the smallest possible first step you could take, and I mean the absolute smallest. Not start the project, not work on it for 15 minutes. Something like, open the file, read the first question, put the dirty dishes in the sink. Something that takes less than 2 minutes and requires zero motivation. Set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes from now. When that timer goes off, do that one tiny thing, that's all. You don't have to keep going, you don't have to finish anything, you just have to do that one microscopic action. And then tomorrow, do it again. Pick the next tiny step. The goal isn't to suddenly become super productive overnight. The goal is to build the habit of starting. Because once you can consistently start, the rest takes care of itself. Look, I'm not going to tell you this will fix everything immediately. You're still going to have hard days. You're still going to feel unmotivated sometimes. But I promise you this, if you start setting starting goals instead of outcome goals, things will shift. Not because you're suddenly more disciplined or because you've unlocked some secret productivity formula, but because you've removed the biggest barrier between you and the things you want to do. And once that barrier is gone, you'll be amazed at how much you're actually capable of. So try it tonight. Pick one tiny thing. Do it. See what happens. And if it works, try it again tomorrow. Because that's all this really is. A series of tiny starts that eventually add up to something bigger. You've got this. Seriously. Now go do that one small thing.